Okay, I'd like to extend a warm welcome to everybody here. It's a nice, lively group. Also like to welcome those watching online, and I'll probably welcome you again here in a second, but it is time to get started, so let's do that. Again, welcome. My name is Dr. Doug Kelley. It's nice to have everybody with us tonight. Appreciate everybody taking their time to be here, and those two watching the live broadcast, appreciate your time as well. And those watching the archives, if it's after the fact, appreciate your time as well. This Spirit of Life service is an educational program of the International Church of Metaphysical Humanism. I said the old name so many times it just rolls off nowadays. Anyways, so we got a number of educational programs. I mean, aside from this, we have empoweredrecovery.com, which is a website and book for help with alcoholism, or actually it's for alcoholic and addictive relationships. It's not aimed at the alcoholic or the addict, but at the family and the friends. We also have the Metaphysics Institute, or metaphysicsinstitute.org, where you can earn your bachelor's, master's, and doctoral degree in metaphysics and specialize in a variety of areas. We have ICHSworld.org, where you can take standalone courses in metaphysics. And we have paranexus.org, which is our anomalous research association. So that's a little bit about us. More information is available on those websites as well as at metaphysicalhumanism.org. Tonight's program, I'm going to be talking about metaphysics and true science. Dr. Vicki Hunter will be speaking to us via Skype from British Columbia on finding your voice for confidence. Now, before I get too much further, somebody around here left their notes at home. I'm not going to say who it is. Oh, Tina's volunteering to take the blame here. So anyway, I did that, but that's because my back went out on me yesterday, and so I stand before you sweating bullets because of the pain, but I didn't want to miss it. So tonight we're going to do probably a slightly abbreviated hour. I'm going to be talking on true science and metaphysics. Dr. Vicki Hunter will follow me. We will do the meditation, and then we'll get into our Enspirit section where we'll do you can share your impressions if you wish, or we'll pull cards from the inner oracle deck. Speaking of which, let us pull a card to serve as a theme. Now, if you're new with us, these are inner oracle cards. They're self-discovery cards. They are based on what we teach. They're not tarot cards, but they are designed to get you to think. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to pull a quick card to serve as our theme. And then Dr. Vicki will probably read in the guidebook what it's all about. 39, education is the card. So that will serve as a theme, and of course that's what this is all about, education. So you stay here long enough, you will get edumacated. Am I right or am I right? Of course I'm right. Those are the only two choices. Next up, I'd like to do an abbreviated reading of our 9 principles of belief. More information on these is also at metaphysicalhumanism.org. The first one is do no harm, do right. Number 2, we believe in the indomitable power of the human spirit. The answers we seek already exist within us. Number 3, we believe that we alone are responsible for and capable of solving human social problems. Number 4, we are equal, all of us. One planet, one race, one ancestry, one destiny. Number 5, we recognize and honor the divine energy that exists in all living things. Number 6, we are physical and spiritual beings. Consciousness survives death of the physical body. Number 7, self-acceptance, self-responsibility, and respect for free will creates self-completeness. Number 8, metaphysical education and practical life skills empower the human spirit and enhance the human condition. Number 9, expanding human consciousness leads to human evolution and peaceful coexistence. These are all on metaphysicalhumanism.org in their entirety, plus there's additional information provided on that site. All right, so let's talk about metaphysics and true science. You might be wondering, well, why that title? What's the deal? Well, in the world of science, in that field, and all its many fields, I should say, there's a number of different things that they claim are pseudoscience. You ever heard of that term before, pseudoscience? And many of the things that we discuss with metaphysics, they feel fall into that category of pseudoscience. Some of the things that the scientific field thinks are pseudoscience can be such things as Reiki, anything paranormal, spirits, parapsychology, ESP, tarot reading, even psychiatry or psychoanalysis, I should probably say, chiropractic. Those things they classify into the world of pseudoscience. So what does that mean? Is that real? Well, it depends on who you ask, I guess. Frankly, one person's pseudoscience is another person's science and vice versa. Metaphysics is the study of consciousness and existence. And, and it's a broad field. There's a ton of things that go into metaphysics. I mean, about everything. Even in the fields of scientific fields, there are many areas that are metaphysical in nature, because metaphysics has to do with existence, with consciousness. And of course that permeates everything, obviously. So when it comes to whether metaphysics is really pseudoscience, I'm going to say no. Of course, what else would I say, right? But it's not for a variety of reasons. If you think about the study of consciousness and existence, isn't that what everybody is essentially trying to answer? Even scientists are trying to answer the questions of who are we, where we come from, where are we going. Everything that we do, whether it's science or any other kind of research, is designed to answer those questions about who we are as a race, as a species, really. That's what they're all trying to find out. If you can break that down, take cancer research. Why are they doing that? Well, to find a cure. Okay, so what? Why are they doing that? Why do we want a cure? Well, because it benefits the human race, benefits the human condition, right? So everything comes back down to that, and that includes different areas of metaphysics as well. Talk about spiritual counseling, which is an aspect of metaphysics. Is that beneficial or what? A lot of people don't have, let me rephrase it, a lot of people have stumbling blocks or things that hold them back. And it can range all over the board, from self-esteem to irrational fears, and yet spiritual counselors help those folks. Same with life coaches. And then there's some of the holistic type arts, Reiki and other energy type healing modalities that assist people. And even if it's a management of their belief systems, that's fine, because that helps, doesn't it? Let's talk about science. Science. Is science pseudoscience? Well, let's talk about that for a second. You might think so after you hear some of this stuff. Galileo, you've heard of him. In 1633, he was basically tried and convicted for heresy against the Catholic Church. Why, you ask? For teaching that the earth revolves around the sun and not vice versa. It seems that throughout human history we've been quite the arrogant bunch, haven't we? We all think the whole universe rises and sets on us as a species. That's arrogance. Obviously it doesn't. But Galileo was upholding Copernicus's work and validating it, and they put him under house arrest for the rest of Galileo's life. He died in, I think, 1642-ish, right in there. So he spent 10 or 12 years under house arrest because he was teaching that the earth revolved around the sun. You bring that up to modern times, take the 19th century, natural philosophy. Really, science and metaphysics were one and the same. They looked at all that stuff. Of course, as you got Darwin on the picture, his teachings coming into popular circulation. You have the scientists who wanted to distance themselves from religion. So, even though there's a lot of evidence for a widespread flood at some point in our history, and there's probably more than one, but we have evidence of a widespread flooding in different places around the planet. Well, science began to deny that. Didn't happen. Why? Because if they admitted that there was widespread flooding, and I'm not talking about an earth-wide flood here, but if they admitted there was widespread flooding, that would basically support the biblical account of the Great Flood. So they basically said, no, none of it happened. Well, we're seeing a little more of an evening out of that these days. Science is coming around a little bit. But think about some of the things that we take almost for granted in this decade from science. Exoplanets, you know what those are? Those are planets outside our solar system. And Kepler and scientists, other means, have discovered probably, at last I heard, was at least 1,000, and they have many hundreds of more candidates for exoplanets. Think about that. 20 years ago, if you were a scientist researching or looking for exoplanets, that was almost like a career killer. It just wasn't in vogue. You didn't do that stuff. And yet now look at it, it's like the thing to be doing. So you see the ebbs and tides of what's acceptable in science, what's considered pseudoscience and what's not. How about another one? The many worlds theory. You ever heard any quantum physicists talk about that? Quantum mechanics? The parallel universes? You know, this is not it. There's an infinite number of worlds, of universes, and every possible outcome that could be happens. Well, there's a lot of pretty mainstream scientists that believe in the many worlds theory. And then there's this other thing. They look out in the universe and they can't find all the matter, so they say that 95% of what's in the universe, literally 95, it's not just an about figure, it's actually 95%, is made up of dark energy and dark matter. Now, am I saying that that's not true? No, of course not. I'm not saying it's not true. What I'm saying is they can't see it, they can't measure it, they can't touch it, and yet they infer that it's there. Sounds reasonable to me, right? I mean, it does. It sounds reasonable. There are other things like that. Mars. I mean, for all intents and purposes, we've discovered water and probable life on Mars. They don't want to admit that yet. And then there's Enceladus, a tiny moon of Saturn, that's frozen, and they infer there's liquid oceans with a strong inference toward probable life. That's okay. What about SETI, Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence? That's been around since 1963, and science has backed it. Haven't done any good with it, but it's largely a waste if you ask me, but it's still acceptable. Yet, when we talk about things like life after death, oh, that's not real. That's just bunk, right? Not true. We have compelling evidence for life after death, that life remains coherent after death of the physical body. We have good evidence for that, compelling, reasonable evidence for that. We have evidence for other things. What about UFOs? You know, on the one hand, science is very open to the idea that the universe is probably teeming with life, and I'm sure that it is. On the other hand, you say, well, is that life here visiting this planet? Oh, no, that's just nut jobs, believe that stuff, right? See, it's almost like there's a double standard here. And that's what I'm trying to say. What's true science? Basically, true science is the open-minded search for answers, regardless of what it means and regardless of where it takes us. If, you know, true science is open. Now, true science is not so open-minded that the brains fall out. You've got to exercise some objectivity, yes, but we still have to be open to this thing. It's like science can't even tell you where the mind is. They can't find the mind. It's non-local. It's not in the brain. And you ask somebody, well, you know, okay, science, prove to me that I have a mind. Well, that's easy to prove. You know, just joking there. Don't forget to laugh at my jokes. I know I said it so fast you probably just whizzed right by it. But they can't find the mind. They can't prove a mind exists. I mean, you know, you got to be open to this stuff. So that's the point of this discussion. Be a true metaphysician. Be a true scientist, if you will. Be open-minded and search for answers. Keep your feet on the ground. Keep your head on your shoulders. If you're going to believe in something, that's fine. Have a compelling, reasonable basis for that belief. It's like life after death. I've talked about that on this program many times. Can we support that with reasonable, compelling evidence? Yes, we can. Same is true with UFOs. So What about parapsychology, which is psi phenomena with human beings? We have all kinds of reasonable evidence for that, and yet mainstream science won't even acknowledge it. That's just pseudoscience. That's just bunk. And so we have to be open-minded. Skepticism is not the halfway mark between belief and disbelief. Belief and disbelief are two sides of the same coin. You cannot disbelieve in something without also believing in something else, right? Now, can you remain neutral on things? Yes, you can. Can you be right in the middle where there's no belief or disbelief? Yes, you can. That's called having no preconceived notions. So, whatever your area of metaphysics is, as you go into it, avoid the preconceived notions. If you go into it trying to debunk one part of it, well, that presupposes that you believe in its opposite, for example. For example, if I'm an anomalous researcher and I'm trying to debunk that ghosts exist, well, that implies that I believe that they do, and I'm just trying to find evidence. Now, it might be semantics, but what I'm suggesting is if you're into that area, if you're into anomalous research, go into it with a neutral mind. You know, do they exist or don't they exist? I don't know. What do? You look at the evidence and you ask, what do the facts tell us? And you keep asking that question until you get some answers. One last quick part that I want to include in this discussion is pretty much aimed at my students, many of whom are watching. When you enroll in the ICMH degree program, I've seen it 100 times, that you're excited. Hey, I'm going to get my bachelor's, master's, and doctoral degree in metaphysics. This is cool. You know, it's like this grand adventure. And they're excited. And so what do? Share it with their friends and their family. And often, what do their friends and family do? Oh, that's not a real degree. Oh, I thought you were getting a real degree. Now, these friends and family may be well-intentioned or just thoughtless or both. The key here, though, is that there is no more noble calling than metaphysics, because you're actively trying to make a difference in the world. You want to know the really cool thing about ICMH and IMHS, the school? The people who enroll have one beautiful thing in common. They all want to help. They all want to leave the woodpile higher than they found it. They all want to make a positive difference in this world. That's a beautiful thing. That is a noble calling, is it not? It is. And so if you're one of these folks who have been poo-pooed by well-intended friends and family, don't let that bother you. Because remember, they're just unaware. They're ignorant. Many people are. Many people just don't know what it means. A lot of people think metaphysics has to do with the occult. And I suppose it does. But that's only one tiny, tiny branch of it. Metaphysics is hugely broad. And that's just one aspect of it. So if you have had that happen to you and people have put you down for it, don't listen. Never let anyone rob you of your dream, ever, for any reason. If they want to believe it's a pseudoscience or not a real degree, let them believe it. It doesn't mean anything. It honestly just doesn't mean anything, folks. As I've said before, everything we do and say and do on this planet, everything we do, this church, any business, any corporation, any concept, any philosophy, all started where? As a thought in the mind of one person. So who's the grand judge that's going to say one is better than another, or one is right and another is wrong, all other things being equal? There isn't it. So everybody's entitled to follow their path in the way that they see fit, as long as you do no harm and do right. So be a true scientist. Be, the open-minded search for information and knowledge without preconceived notions. And don't let the naysayers get you. So hopefully that's helped. Next up on the program, Dr. Vicki Hunter will be talking to us from British Columbia via Skype. And her topic is finding your voice to speak with confidence. So we'll give her our attention as she is brought up. I know I ended that abruptly and stuff, so I'm just talking while we're getting things together. You don't see that on TV, do you? Dr. Vicki, welcome.
Oh, you couldn't hear me?
No.
Sorry.
We can now, though.
Okay, we're off to a great start, I see. That's called finding your voice. Oh my, a little pun. Education. I love that theme. I loved the discussion that we were having. And Dr. Kelley was imparting to everyone about what's common belief versus what is there's always more, and those people who are motivated to think more and beyond. One of the things that's really dear to me is in how we present ourselves, no matter what we think, we believe, or, you know, how we're talking. It's how we present ourselves and how we can speak with a confidence. And there's several parts to that, and everybody understands the basic concepts of, I think, body manner. You know, if I sit here like this and I talk to you, then that's either I'm really cold or I'm being rude and I'm holding you at bay. So that's a really obvious kind of gesture that we put to other people. You know, some people fidget or they're kind of nervous and they don't quite know what to do with themselves. And that's all a presentation of who someone is. So because I was really privileged, of course I was just fascinated with theater. I love the arts. And, you know, in my early school days, I took 5 years of theater. Of course, a lot of that is voice training. And I had quite the voice teacher. And what I have learned about myself as I've gone, you know, through different stages of my life is taking an inventory of how I'm feeling. I talk different. You know, how I might kind of feel kind of bummed out, and people say, "Oh, are you all right?" You know, so we have to be really careful that, you know, again, what we're projecting. So there's several things that, to me, that I like to impart to some of my clients and folks that I meet are, number one, about inflections of tone. That's very important, and I'm going to talk about that for a second. And the other is where your tones come from in your body. So let's begin with inflections. I'll share a little story with you. A really brilliant young woman in her mid-30s came to me many years ago who was a professor of linguistics, of all things. And she'd said, I don't get respect. I don't get any regard from my colleagues. The men shun me. I think it's, you know, gender prejudice, and it's really tearing me down. I want to quit my job. And I said, well, I think, if you're okay with this, I think I know what the problem is. And she said, what? And I said, well, it's the way you speak. And of course, that's, you know, that's a touchy thing because, you know, you're smart, you're intelligent, you've managed to be successful in your life. And what do you mean? I speak wrong? But there's some people have created this kind of, I don't know, it's like a new accent where they end everything in a question. And it's, well, what do you think? I'd like to show you something. And so it's everything was dancing with her and ending on a high. So I said, when you speak with that manner, I'm hearing your words, but I'm also feeling your tone. And your tone says that you're not sure of what you're saying. So let's practice about how to make a statement rather than make a statement. So there's tones. And I said, so let's just, and we practiced for a little bit. And she said, wow, I had no idea I did that, because she had kind of just followed the lead where a number of people started talking with this really interesting accent. And so it was really helpful to her. And she did report back months later that her whole life changed because she was now talking a little bit differently. And she was more confident in what she was saying and being that self-aware. So inflections are really important because we are really audio. We're visual audio people, and beings. So of the five primary senses, sound is really critical. And if you lose one of your senses, of course, the others heighten. Everything goes into hypersensitivity. So the audio is really important, and what you're watching is important. But again, if some people don't have sight or sound, then there's a hypersensitivity to both. So we have to be really aware of how other people receive information. So again, if you're speaking with somebody who is partially deaf, it's not about yelling, it's about speaking clearly, using your mouth better. And again, it's not like talking to somebody like they're stupid. We don't want to be rude about that, but we have to be sensitive to the need and talk directly at people. There's nothing worse than looking away and talking over here and looking around and, oh yeah, there you are, okay. See, you're not going to get respect if you do that to people. So it's to listen and be one-on-one. Do your best to be one-on-one with people. Now, when it comes to the tones and where the body moves, and I'm going to do my best here to get into the feel here and share some tones with you, because I do my best most of the time to speak from my diaphragm. So when I used to do radio, and of course I'd reach way down deeper, and you can hear that resonating from inside the body. So, and then there's always that other chest sound. You can feel that resonating in the chest. So that's a different tone. Now, if I go to the throat, I'm talking from here. And this is actually where a lot of people talk. It's like everything kind of is stuck here. And they're not in their body. So it gets kind of stuck, and I'm doing my best. And I'll tell you what I notice the most is on the phone you can always tell somebody's age, because old ladies, they just kind of go like this, dear, and they're speaking from their throat. So I kind of tend to move in there a little bit and kind of perk it up a little bit. But then there's also that nasal sound. You can hear the nasally. People talk from their head. Country singers do that. And then there's the head sound, where you can feel it, honestly, in the top of the head. You can start to feel the head resonating. Vocalists and people who are really masterful vocalists will learn to move all those tones so that they're presenting a song by a feeling in how it moves in the body. So these are really good exercises for you to even do with yourself or with a friend. And don't be shy with a friend. You're speaking anyway. Why not practice to speak that's a little bit different, that you get right into your body and you speak with that confidence. So again, there's the mannerisms, there's the inflections, and then there's the tone of where you're resonating from. I have a daughter one of my daughters tends to have a high-pitched voice. And when she was like 7, 8, 9 years old, we were doing voice lessons, I assure you. I said, you got to bring it down, because when people have really high-pitched voices and you go to the restaurant and the girls say, oh, what can I get you? It's like grating, like nails on a chalkboard. And I have a couple of times asked them if they all go to the same voice coach school, And it's like, I don't know why that started, but it's that high-pitched stuff. So it's easy enough to change, to bring it down a little bit. We almost bring it down a whole octave. So anybody who's listening who has a tendency to have that high pitch, you're not going to get the same regard from other people if you would just tone it down just a little. And I don't mean go deeper. I'm talking about bring it an octave down. There's one really important note that I want to leave you with here in the education of communication. Think of it this way. Have a visual in your mind, and somebody's walking up your driveway, and the dog comes out of the house and wagging his tail, and somebody's afraid of dogs, and they go, no, 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 no. The dog does not know. No, no, no. The dog hears, oh, and it's excited. So no is no. It's really important here. If you say no with a yes tone, or a yes tone, and a happy tone, nobody is going to take your no as being flat no. That no is going to be, if you say no, there's room for discussion. There's room for negotiating. Nobody believes you. No is no. Yes is yes. That's exciting. It's yes. So if you really want credibility and you want people to believe you when you say no, then make sure it's a no. It's a tone. And it's N-O, 2 letters, 1 tiny syllable, that you get that across. I really want to stress this to women who feel vulnerable, particularly around men, and otherwise, no is no. So in the communicating, confidence, if you just think about all those things, practice in your car when you're driving, you know, in your shower, whatever you do, or practice with a friend, and get playing around with tones and vibrations and energy, and feel those colors if you're into chakras. That's a beautiful thing too. So I hope that's a benefit a little bit to you, and you've learned a little something. So it's exciting.
Thank you, Dr. Vicki. Appreciate you covering that information, and we'll catch up with you in just a few minutes when we do our Enspirit program. So before we get into that, let's do a couple of announcements. This coming weekend on Saturday, this Saturday, May 2nd, is the annual graduation ceremony for IMHS students. And if you are an IMHS student and you haven't registered to participate in the online graduation, please do so. Go to the Student Center at metaphysicsinstitute.org, and you'll see the link there. Also, friends and family are invited to attend the online ceremony, and I'll put a link, probably tonight or in the morning, I'll put a link at metaphysicsinstitute.org if anyone else wants to tune in to the broadcast. It'll be broadcast right here from the center. Students will not be on camera, but Dr. Hunter and I will be reading names, and we do have a handful of students who are going to deliver a pre-recorded audio graduation speech, so we'll be playing those as well. So that's coming this Saturday. It's at 9 p.m. UTC. That's 5 p.m. Eastern time here. And there's a time zone converter on the website too for you students. So there's a countdown timer there too. So make sure that matches. Last year we had students who confused the time and were all ready to go, and it was the wrong time. So use the countdown timer. It's going to show you exactly when we begin, no matter where you live on the planet. All right, that's one. Donations, thank you very much for all of you for your kind donations. It really helps things go better. We did make the church made a donation to the Earthquake Relief Fund in Nepal. Just an FYI, try to help them out a little bit. Someday when we grow up, we'll be able to really make a significant contribution in times like that. What else can I tell you? Next week, I will post next week we have Dr. Norman Wilson will be returning to speak on what love is, and I'll be speaking on a very, very fascinating topic as well. I'll let you know. It was in my notes. I just determined it, but because I can't hold a thought for more than 3 nanoseconds, I can't remember what I chose, so I'll get it put up. It was on the sheet that I left on my printer. Anyway, but that just goes with the pain in the back territory this time around. I think I've gotten it all. If I remember anything, I'll let you know. Let's do our brief meditation, and then we'll segue right into the Enspirit Forum. So if you'd like to find yourself in a comfortable position, just relax a little bit. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Hold on to the mental count of 3. And just settle, relax. You can close your eyes if you wish. As we begin, try to focus on the rhythm of your breathing. Another deep breath in, hold on to it for a moment. Release it. And just know that every breath you take, breathe in goodness, positive energy, and you release stress, negativity. As you continue to relax, I wonder if you can imagine, if you can visualize that beautiful ball of light right above your head. That ball of light is your soul light. It represents your higher self. It's who you are. And I wonder if you can see all the tentacles of electricity just darting everywhere, going out and connecting with everything else in the grand scheme of things. We're all connected. As you see this beautiful, white, vibrant ball of light, know that it has the power to do anything. I wonder if you can visualize pulling it right on into your body, into the center of your body, and just allowing it to fill you up with positive energy, encouragement, happy thoughts, knowing that everything this light touches begins to heal. Everything about you begins to improve. This is you. This is your power. You are a powerful person. You can accomplish anything you choose in life. You are entitled to the same good things in life as anyone else, no more, no less. It's entirely up to you. And you are entitled to these things without judgment. Now just allow that energy, that beautiful white energy from your soul light to just have a positive effect on your entire body. And as you do, why not take just a moment, send out some positive energy to those in need, perhaps send it out on a global scale or send it to Nepal or to other individuals that you know could use an encouraging word. Just send it on out. And know that because of deliberate intent, it does go. It does reach them. In just a moment, I'm going to count from 1 to 3, and as I do, you'll come back to full awakeness, feeling very refreshed. 1, allowing that beautiful soul light to resume its normal place whenever you're ready. 2, feeling so refreshed and feeling good. 3, eyes open wide. You are enough, you are powerful, you can do anything you want, and you feel good. Am I right? Yeah. Of course I'm right, because I'm always right, except for when I'm wrong. Then I'm not right. But other than that, I'm always right. Right. Confused yet? You want to know some other things about me? I am everywhere, except those places I'm not. But other than that, I am everywhere. I know everything, except that which I don't know. But other than that, I do know everything. All right, are we back yet? All right, let's do our Enspirit. Let's bring Dr. Hunter back. Dr. Hunter, I presume.
Yes, and I have my mic on.
Oh, cool. Were you the culprit?
Yeah, I did that purposely.
Oh.
It's about the voice. I was talking about the voice and confidence and communication.
No, I
Actually,
thought you were referring to when we didn't have you on here. All right, so are you going to enlighten us with the education card?
Yes.
Groovy.
Look at this Inner Oracle Self-Discovery cards. And the theme for tonight is education, number 39 in the life skills section. Continual education is the key to individual and collective consciousness and personal success. Commit yourself to lifelong learning, educating yourself continually. If you don't know something, first look for the answers yourself, then ask if necessary. Gain education and advice through various sources, including people, but always strive to find your own answers. Look for lessons in life experience, situations, and circumstances. Make it your adage to listen, think, learn, grow, and live. You know, and I think one of the most important lessons here about learning it for yourself is that you're an individual with your own perception. Because everybody has their own reality, right? And it's all subjective.
Good. So. Remember, these cards are to get you thinking. They're self-discovery. They're to get you thinking, pretty much it. All right, now during this section, those of you here, if you would like to make a statement or comment or share an impression or anything, just raise your hand. I'll give you the mic. If you want a card reading, we're going to basically pull a card and share it with you, and that goes as well for our live broadcast audience in the chat room. Do we have anybody who's interested in a card pull?
I have not seen anything.
Nobody?
I'm multitasking. So I haven't seen anything in the chat room, but we also didn't kind of give a heads up. So maybe some names will
All
start
right, so
coming
we'll
through
give a
now.
heads up, and we're going to let Phyllis here do one. You're gonna have
Dr. Angie.
It's okay. That's too late.
Dr. Angie was, okay.
Okay. Well,
Phyllis.
what kind of pills? Oh, that's right. I forgot about those. Phyllis would like to say something to you. You can keep it. I'll turn it on first. I'm sorry.
Is it on now? Okay. Hi, Vicki. I used
Hi.
to teach classes on communication. I worked with the profoundly deaf for 10 years and the hearing impaired for another 10. And I like what you said about expression because, of course, with the deaf, they couldn't hear tone of voice. So you'd be almost overly dramatic when you talk to someone. The facial expressions, the wide eye, you're just almost flamboyant so that they could get your point. Because if you just did it very monotone, very with no expression, they couldn't understand if it was something to be happy about, sad about, or anything in between. So, yes, I really liked what you said about the body language as well as the tone.
Thank you for saying that, Phyllis. Thank you for that.
Thanks.
It is really important expression.
All right. The card that Phyllis chose is number 44, Attitude, Disposition. I'm not going to crack any jokes.
You know, and it's only because off air last week, everybody decided that, like, I should have a card. And I pulled the attitude card. And I thought, oh, geez, do I have an attitude? And of course, I was doing my taxes that day. So I guess I do have an attitude. But attitude, enthusiasm, and or an agreeable disposition, along with good manners, assures individual happiness that inevitably influences others. Drawing this card may indicate a time to review a change in attitude regarding someone or something in your life. This can be a positive or a negative. Be proactive. Ask yourself, how hard can it be? A can-do attitude makes it happen. And I assure you, Phyllis, I really had to have a can-do attitude on my taxes. So if that resonates with you at some level about yes, you can. So.
Thank you. Okay, so we suddenly have 4. Anybody else here like anything before we move on to the chat room? Okay, the first one, Tina, is Dr. Angie would like a card pulled.
Yes.
We won't pull her leg instead, right?
It's tuning in.
Okay. All right. Her card is number 38, Open-Mindedness. So, life skills suit.
An open mind is sensible and grounded. An open mind avoids preconceived notions, especially ones that are based on a personal agenda, a pet theory, or a preferred belief. An open mind is not gullible or credulous. Rather, an open mind thinks critically and searches for additional possibilities. It absorbs knowledge and searches for credible solutions and conclusions. So that's just a little message that perhaps there's something in Angie's life that is requiring, think outside, the present belief system or other ideas. So I hope that resonates for her.
Yes, open-mindedness, not too open, right? So your brains fall out. Next up, Edward. Edward, the universe pulled a card for you. I'm serious. When I spread these out, one became detached by itself.
Good.
Number 24, Truth. I go with that stuff when it happens. You never know, right? Number 24,
Well, there are
Truth.
many ways to discover cosmic truth. It begins with knowing who you are and why you are who you are. That is your truth. Discovering cosmic truth involves further discovering the truths that are often concealed within a relationship or a life situation. Yet the only truths kept secret are those we will not see. This is a time of deep introspection to intuitively gauge the way ahead. This card may indicate that there is the truth in something or in a direction. So hopefully that resonates for Edward in some way.
Next, Jenny. Okay. Where will the Spirit take me? No, I'm not possessed. Much. It's number 15, belief system, knowledge base. It's the existential.
We each operate life from an existing belief system, and sometimes the solution or direction lies outside our belief system. Boy, was that ever talked about earlier, hey? Equally, when knowledge is expanded, a belief system calls for revision. Consider that opening the mind for more information and knowledge may be required, subsequently adjusting a belief system. Know that the knowledge you seek is within. And part of that is your intuition, right? It's what resonates with you at that other inner level. So, you know, just for the record, we're always changing our beliefs. It's not like we're looking for the one and only, that's the answer belief system. That's just not the case about life at all. We're evolving, we're growing, we're always getting new data and new data input into our brains and filtering it through our minds. So I hope no one thinks that it means, oh, you better change your belief system. Because that's not the case. It can be a very, very small thing. It could be a friend that you used to believe in, but something happened, you know, or you used to really give your allegiance to something, but it changed. These are things that we all go through in life.
Good points. All right, do we have another one, Tina?
Zach asks if you will forgo his so that you can earn it because
What a nice guy. We're going to do one anyway. Why? Because, Zach, I'm a masochist. Don't let that spread, okay? People don't think I am. All right, let me just do one more. I felt compelled to do that, so I'm doing it. All right, Zach. It's this one. It's on the end. It's number 2, esteem and validation. Card number 2, esteem and validation.
So this is for you, Zach, and you know, we think the world of you. You know that. So we can tease you, but we do. We love you. Self-esteem is self-worth based on internal expectations and validation, not to be confused with them-esteem, which is self-worth based on external expectations and validation. Basically, that's what other people think. High self-confidence is not the same as high self-esteem. Self-validation is the highest regard you give to yourself. Fully experience the truths of your own path. And I might just add that Zach is really a very extraordinary young man who, you know, he's had some stuff and he continues to challenge and he's doing really well. And we're always really glad that, you know, he shows up every Wednesday and he's a student at school and always glad to have him.
Thanks, Dr. Vicki. Yeah. It's Lonnie. Lonnie would like one, so we're going to do one.
Oh, okay.
One more time. For the cheap seats in the back? No? It's just an expression.
Popcorn. Get the popcorn.
Number 20, deliberate intent. I'm not putting them away this time.
The simple act of intention registers your wants and desires with the universal consciousness, which then sets an energy in motion for their attainment. Deliberate intent is focusing your intent like a laser, causing you to become entangled with whatever it is that you desire. It's not magic. It requires effort. Focus on what you want, not on what you don't have. Release with patience.
Good.
So I hope you can feel that vibe on that one. So you want it? Laser.
All right. Good, thanks, Dr. Vicki. All right, so I'm assuming that was the end of those, Tina? Okay, great. We appreciate you guys being involved in this, and hopefully it was interesting, nothing else. Next week, somebody just remember what the topic is, basically critical thinking skills. So what they are, how to use them, that kind of a thing, along with Dr. Norman Wilson, who will be Skyping in from Washington State on what love is. So hope you can join us for that next week at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Wednesday night.